Good morning. This is the time and place for the Planning Hearing Officer hearing for November 14th, 2018. My name is Vilya Zamataitis, and I will be the hearing officer conducting today's meeting. We have one case on the agenda, and the relevant exhibits are posted on the panels located directly behind me. The hearing will proceed as follows. I will read the description of the application and request. I will then read the reports received from other city departments and other letters or communications from interested parties. The case planner will then make a brief overview of the case, give analysis, and make recommendation. The applicant will be then asked to come forward, stating both name and address, and will be asked to present the case within a 15-minute time period. Others in support of or in opposition to the application and interested parties will be asked to come forward to speak, again clearly stating both name and address for the record, and they will be speaking within a 3-minute time limit. Lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity to make closing comments, if desired, in response to the testimonies given by the preceding speakers. The hearing will then be closed and the case taken under submission. After the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who responded to the public notice, either by speaking at this hearing or by submitting written responses and having provided their name and mailing address. Note that the date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. Appeals. Under the appeal provision of Title 30, Chapter 3062 of the Glendale Municipal Code, the decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal may obtain forms and brochures on the procedures from the Building and Safety section in Permit Services located on the same building. And if you wish to speak, please write your name and address on one of the speaker cards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to our planning assistant. I would like to inform everyone that the official proceedings of the Planning Hearing Officer hearing are recorded as part of the public record and are being televised. As mentioned, we have one case on today's agenda, which is a variance case, case number PVAR 1800911 for a project located at 1682 Valley View Road. The applicant is Edward Hagobian. Project description is an application for a standards variance to allow the continued use of an existing driveway that is not completely located on the same lot as the proposed 5,266 square foot, 2-story single-family residence with an attached 3-car garage. This is on a 32,000 square foot lot, zoned R1R, Restricted Residential Zone, Floor Area District 2. The existing 1,320 square foot single-family residence and detached 2-car garage will be demolished. The project is exempt from environmental review per the state guidelines, section 15303, class 3, new construction or conversions of small structures. Again, since this case involves a variance under the provisions of Title 30, Chapter 3043 of the Glendale Municipal Code, a variance shall be granted if 4 required findings are present. 1, that the strict application of the ordinance would result in practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship inconsistent with the general purposes and intent of the ordinance. 2, that there are exceptional circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved or to the intended use or development of the property that do not generally apply to other property in the same zone or neighborhood. 3, that the granting of the variance will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in such a zone or neighborhood in which the property is located. And 4, that the granting of the variance will not be contrary to the objectives of the ordinance. If the evidence presented in the application and at the hearing meets the criteria just described, Then the planning hearing officer can either approve or impose conditions for approval on the case in question. If the findings of fact are not evident, then the request will be denied. And note that notification of the hearing was accomplished by the use of public notices which were mailed to all property owners and occupants located within 500 feet of the subject property, physically posted on the site in question, and placed in the local newspaper. So with that said, going to staff's comments, in reviewing the comments submitted by the Public Works Engineering Department, these were all standard conditions involving the demolition, proposed demolition and construction of the project. We received comments from Neighborhood Services, which stated there are no code enforcement cases on the property. Standard conditions from the building and safety, and also appears that the project site has a number of indigenous oak trees on the property, and our urban forester, Jeremy Kahn, had looked at the project and had relayed his proposed conditions as well regarding the protection of these indigenous trees and also the removal of certain ones. So with that said, I'd like to turn the hearing over to case planner Ms. Eileen Babakani for her presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Samatitis. If you allow me, I will approach
Please.
the court. The standard variance case number PVAR 1800911, located at 1682 Valley View Road, is to allow the continued use of an existing driveway that is not completely located on the same lot. There is an existing 1,320 square feet house located with a detached two-car garage located on this lot, which was built in 1941. The applicant is proposing to demolish the existing house and construct a new 5,266 square foot, two-story, single-family residence with an attached three-car garage, almost in the same location of the existing house. The existing house located on the top of the hillside property. You can see in this section drawing. And as I mentioned, the new house will be located almost in the same area. The new residents will use the existing driveway as a vehicular access to the proposed garage. As you mentioned, the project is exempt from the environmental review per state guidelines section 15303 class 3, new construction or conversion of small structure, because the project involves the construction of one single family residence only. The property is hillside property, approximately 32,670 square feet in area. As you see here, it is irregular in shape and it slopes up from the Valley View Road. The average current slope is almost 65%. The applicant, as I mentioned, is proposing to demolish the house, existing house, and construct a new two-story house while using the same driveway to minimize the landform alteration and grading. So basically, there's not going to be too much of grading in this area and in this area of the lot. There are 4 protected indigenous trees on the lot. 2 of the protected trees are mature oak trees located near the existing house, and there are 2 young oak trees located in this area, away from the house towards the northwest side of the lot. All trees are healthy, according to the indigenous tree report prepared by the arborist of record, Arsen Margosian. And in order to accommodate the proposed house, one of the oak trees near the existing house and within the footprint of the new house will be removed as conditioned by the city's urban forestry division. 4 new oak trees will be planted in appropriate area towards the southeast side of the house. As part of the conditions of approval for this case, the project should comply with all mitigation measures of the indigenous story report and protected measures required by the city's urban forestry division. As also you mentioned, comments were received from the Glendale Water and Power Engineering and Public Works Engineering, and also just some condition made by these departments have been included in the draft conditions of approval. For the staff analysis, the existing property that has been served by the existing driveway that provides access to also adjacent properties and similar single-family residences for many years. The applicant proposal to continue to the use of this driveway of the proposed dwelling would provide a reasonable and functional means of driveway access to the proposed garage. Furthermore, there are practical difficulties present on the lot that limit the area available for the construction of new vehicular access located on the same lot in compliance with the zoning code. The shape and topography of the lot limit the options to build a code-compliant driveway that is completely on the same lot. In order to comply with the zoning code requirement, the driveway of the proposed dwelling must be located within the narrow portion of the lot, and given the topography and the length of almost 212 foot of this area, the driveway will have over 20% slope, almost close to 170% slope, which is kind of impossible to build a driveway with that slope in this area. There's another reason created difficulties to build a new driveway in this lot, which are the existence of the oak trees. As I mentioned, there are 4 oak trees on the lot. However, one of the oak trees will be removed because it's within the footprint of the proposed house, but the rest of the remaining 3 oak trees are going to stay in place, almost intact, when using the protective measures required by the city urban forestry and the arborist of the record, which was mentioned in the indigenous story report. There's another reason, which is the existing shared driveway, which provide access to almost 2-3 houses in the area, and 1 vacant lot, which is under construction for a new house towards the southwest side of the existing house. This shared driveway basically crosses the lot in 2 areas. This restricts the development of any new dwelling unit in this area or closer to the street frontage or any new driveway. And relocation of the existing shared driveway, it's not possible because the existing shared driveway is providing access to the other properties in this area. I also should mention that granting of this variance will not materially detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvement in such a zone or neighborhood in which the property is located. Since the existing shared driveway has been used since 1941 to provide driveway access to the existing single-family resident on the lot and 4 other lots in the neighborhood, this has not been resulted in any non-detrimental effects since 1941. The project as proposed will be consistent with the design objectives of the Hillside Design Guidelines. The size, scale, and mass and site layout of the proposed house appear to be appropriate for the neighborhood and replicate the existing development pattern. However, the project requires approval from the Design Review Board that will review the site planning, massing, architecture, and material and landscaping to ensure the project design is compatible with the surrounding natural and built environment. Staff recommends approval for this variance case with conditions drafted in the staff report. And this concludes my presentation. If there's any question, I'm available.
All right, thank you. Okay. All right, I would like to call the applicant, Mr. Edward Hagobian, up to the dais.
Good morning, William. My name is Edward Hagobian. My address is 220 South Kenwood Street, Suite 210, Glendale 91205. I'm the applicant of this variance. The staff report is so complete that it doesn't leave much for me to add to that, and I appreciate the staff report. It's really comprehensive, covering any possible issue with this variance. If I have to read my 4 findings, I will do it, but I don't think I can compete with the knowledge of Eileen. Anyway, the 4 findings, I will be short because, as I said, the staff report is more complete than what I can do. How will the strict application of the provisions of any such ordinance noted above result in practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship related to the property, inconsistent with the general purpose and intent of the ordinance? My response was, this property has a narrow and steep slope portion extending to the Valley View Road. It is not possible to use that portion for any driveway, so therefore it will be a hardship to design and build a driveway there. That is what is available and possible to serve this property. By the way, we have filed 2 variances for 1700 and 1680 Valley View Road. Same thing and same process, and it was approved before. I believe 1700 was in year 2000, maybe 6, and 1680 was about maybe 2 years ago. What exceptional circumstances or conditions apply to the property involved or to the intended use or development of property that do not apply generally to the other property in the same zone or neighborhood? My response is that the existing driveway is the only way to approach to this property. And this condition is unique compared to other properties which have the possibility of having direct access from the street, so they could have different options to kind of locate the driveway a little bit to the right or to the left, or some other solutions. This is the only solution that we have for this property. C, why will granting of the variance not be detrimental to the public welfare? This driveway meets the width and slope and the zoning of the zoning code, and already has been used for the 5 properties included on recorded easement. This was recorded an easement for since 41, and they have been using this. There was 3 houses there. One is 1700, the other one is 1682, and the other one address I don't remember. These 3 houses have been using that now. There's another house across the street, the 1700. And now the 1680 is under construction, and this will be last lot in that common driveway that will be built. D, why will granting of the variance be in keeping with the objectives of the ordinance? If objective of the ordinance is to grant the use of an existing other four properties, it should apply also to this property. As I said, my presentation is short because the staff report is complete, and I am wondering if there is anything else that needs to be discussed. If you have any questions. By the way, we choose the same driveway to enter from the common driveway to the property because we tried to avoid, we had other options to enter directly from that common driveway underneath the building, but it was going to damage the roots of the oak tree. So we chose to use the same driveway, existing driveway, except that that existing driveway was not in accordance with the zoning code and the slopes. We have to change it. It has more than 20% slope, the existing now. We changed it to comply to the zoning code standards. Other than that, maybe issue of the power service for this house is not related to this, but if it's necessary, new infrastructure work is done now to have the service, a power service availability for this house and 1680. And other than that, I cannot think of anything else that need to be discussed unless if you have any questions.
Just a few comments, actually, or perhaps some questions as well. So the variance in front of us is solely to use an existing driveway that's not completely located on the subject lot. So it's a shared driveway that's utilized by 4 properties, essentially.
Yes.
And from my understanding, 3 of those 4 properties are in the same family.
Yeah.
So I believe that there's
Yeah.
3 of the properties, the one under construction, the proposed, and then the existing one at the
There
terminus.
is another house there. When we enter to the driveway immediately on the right side, also that house is using this
Yes,
driveway.
so, and that's
Total of will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses.
4 homes, exactly. So in terms of the actual variance itself, it appears that the findings can be made and are justified in terms of granting approval of the variance itself. As part of the variance process, we are required also to take a look at whether the project complies with the hillside design guidelines. And I did not see in the staff report that the design review board application has been filed. Is that?
No, we have been waiting for this
For
to
the
be
variance.
approved so that then we can submit the application for the design review board.
Have you worked with the Urban Design Studio staff
Yes,
in regards
yes.
to the actual design of the project?
Yes, I appreciate that Eileen was very active to prepare these plans in a way that it satisfies the design studio people. And there were some changes commented by the design studio that we incorporated those changes into the plan, so hopefully that will pass the design review board.
So you will be submitting the design review application pending
Yes.
review of this case?
Yes.
So there were, a few questions or comments, I guess, in regards to the hillside design guidelines. Typically, the massing is tiered with
Yes.
the hillside, and though you are utilizing what is essentially a flat building pad of the existing structure, in terms of the massing itself, I know that your 1-story massing of the garage is located closer to the upslope portion, where typically you would have larger mass. So in regards to this,
Yeah, I walked.
so what essentially would be, this is the hillside.
Of course, it's
And
not
the
that
massing is one
steep.
story
It's
here.
not that steep, but there is a gentle.
It's Yeah, the building pad is up, further up of the home to the north.
Maybe elevation difference is not more than, I would say, 3-4 feet, not more than that.
Okay, you'll be required to provide the cross sections through the property, through the adjacent property.
I think we had that section there, but that section is not in that direction.
So it'd be in this, so
Yeah.
you don't show the adjacent property.
We'll prepare
Which
for
you'll
design
need that.
board for that.
So the massing itself, going back to the question of whether the massing here, since it sort of slopes down, to move the massing here. But again,
Yeah, if I can come close to the plans, I will show you.
and that's fine. We actually, these are just comments in terms of the future, because I'm going to leave it, the matter in front of me today is purely to have the proposed, or I should say the existing driveway be approved for the new structure. So I will leave these comments to the design review board, who will be handling the
Yeah.
mass and scale and the site plan and the design and detailing. But just note that in terms of the hillside design guidelines, we do look at the massing in regards
Yeah.
to the topography. And also in terms of maintaining any of these existing indigenous tree. I know one is being proposed for removal, and if there is any way in terms of the site layout, the footprint of the building, if that tree can be maintained, because I do know that, at least from looking at the site plan, it appears that there might be opportunities to modify slightly the building footprint in order to maintain that existing tree.
The thing is that if we build the house exactly the way it is now, the location, again, that will damage that particular tree roots. So that's the flat portion of the area, and I believe the mitigation measures are already prepared to plant more oak trees for that and to make it safe, and the trees will mature and grow.
Those were just two quick, short comments, though.
Please, yeah.
But other than that, I had no other questions. I'm inclined to grant the variance, and seeing that I do have no other speaker cards at this time.
Sorry, I forgot to put the number of the case in that my
It's not a problem.
once you start to talk about the number, I remember that I didn't do that.
Not a problem. We do know this. So with that said, I have no other questions or comments. I see none from staff. There are no other speakers in the audience who would like to
Okay.
comment. So I will be taking the matter under submission and rendering a decision very shortly.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for coming, and this hearing is now officially closed.